Hi, English 101 students. Let's talk about week 5. As usual, I like to go to the course schedule to see what's ahead. And I see week 5 out of 7 looks light reading-wise, but there's still plenty to do. So obviously don't wait until the last minute and get in touch with me if you have any questions. You will be reading about information literacy, finding credible sources in SIRS, that's one of the databases the library subscribes to, and using multiple sources in writing. You have assignments due. One is on Thursday, the 20th. That's the database exploration assignment. And the other one is the analysis essay you have been working on. Let's talk first about the analysis essay, even though it's due a little bit later. You've done so much work on it by now. I think that you know what to expect, but I'm going to click on this anyway and discuss what it is that you're doing. The analysis essay is your chance to tell us about the language, credibility, and evidence that makes up "Is America just going to abandon its towns falling into the ocean?" The paper will be 3 to 4 pages. You will be breaking down the text and identifying those 3 important components. Again, language, credibility, and evidence. So you are not evaluating at this point. You are simply identifying and explaining a bit. Evaluation comes next week. So you have there's no expectation for you to write, "This is a good piece of evidence," or "The author does a great job in using word choices." Don't worry about that this week. That comes next week. So you will use this page, the analysis essay requirements page, and I would recommend going through this checklist before you even turn in the work. So this checklist is great because it will remind you how to set up a paper in APA format. You have to have a title page, obviously. You need to have page numbers in the header in the top right corner. All headings and subheadings should be in bold and centered. Papers have to be double-spaced. The reference page needs to use APA format. You may need to watch the video on how to set up a hanging indent. You are developing all paragraphs using CSET. And you must have a strong thesis statement that mentions language, credibility, and evidence. Of course, you will go through editing and revising so that you are turning in a polished paper that is the best paper it can be. The reason I mention that is, as you probably remember from looking at the number of points, this paper is worth 20% of your grade. It is worth 200 out of 1,000 points, so that's 20%. You will want to look at the rubric to see how it is you will be evaluated. This also can be used almost like a checklist to make sure that you've done everything that you need to do. For example, you need a separate introduction. You need a separate paragraph that is the summary of the Stephen Lazak article. So this really can be used as a reminder what you need to do when you work through this paper. You will also be using the other source, that probably 2 other sources. You found information on Stephen Lazak. That's how you built the credibility section. And you should have found information on the New York Times. That is also part of credibility, is evaluating the source. You will want to include those other references on your references page. So you will have 3 reference entries on your references page. One of the most important reminders to you will be found in the sample paper. So the sample paper is invaluable to you as you work through this paper. So you see on the references page here, the student author actually used 4 references because the student author learned about the article's author in 2 different places. One was on Wikipedia and one was on the source website. Normally we don't recommend using Wikipedia as a source, but it is okay to get general information about your author using Wikipedia. That's fine. Utilize this as you work on your analysis essay, and then obviously get in touch with me if you are struggling at all. This page is the best page for you as you learn how to write a polished final analysis essay. The other assignment that you have due this week is due a little bit earlier. And that is the database exploration assignment. For this assignment, you will be using the database called SIRS, S-I-R-S. I will show you in a moment how to get to SIRS. You are finding a new article. You will be finding what we're referring to as reading number 3. Students will end up finding all different articles, so I can't put a title here because I don't know what it is. You are finding the article. You should find an article that relates to our topic of climate change and climate crisis, but it should present a different perspective or a different stakeholder. Perhaps you find something that the government, maybe an argument that the government puts out to show what they are doing to help with climate crises. You want to find something that poses a slightly different or even radically different perspective than the one posed in Is America Just Going to Abandon Its Towns Falling into the Ocean? You will evaluate the article using what we call, what librarians call the CRAP criteria: currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. You will write about how this new reading connects to or challenges the ones you've already read, both the Stephen Lazak article and the earlier article we read, the Price et al. Article entitled Are We Prepared? You can do some comparing of the arguments and the evidence to see what the new reading number 3 reinforces, expands, or complicates in terms of the topic. You will be looking at this information literacy page. We, of course, have a sample database exploration assignment for you to review. What I like about the samples is they help show how much it is we need to include. Do we have to write complete sentences? Can we just write a few phrases? And so on. We also get really nice models for the APA reference and the citation. You will see that you are filling out specific answers to questions, and your answers should be in complete sentences, as shown on this sample. Sometimes you're even writing short paragraphs. You should always include links to any outside information because you want to be able to put those links on your references page when you create the reference entry. And you will be answering questions about the overall evaluation. Does your reading number 3, pass the CRAP test? This makes it clear you're answering in 2 to 3 sentences why it is credible or not. And in this evaluation, you should mention all 5 criteria, CRAAP. Finally, you are writing a new paragraph, a CSET perspective response paragraph, and there are directions on how you should write your paragraph. You will be including a quote from the text or a paraphrase from your new reading number 3. That is the database exploration assignment. You will be going to the Delaware Tech homepage, when you are in Student Resources, you will see that there is a link to the library. Click on Library, and then the databases are in alphabetical order. You will click on Search.